Welcome back to the Four Downs Podcast, the show where we cover four NFL topics in 20 minutes or less. Today, we are joined by Alex Boyajian, president of Chaotically Intolerant. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk some football.
Good. Well, let's get into it. Our first topic today, as always, is Thursday Night Football, where the Ravens were able to beat the Bengals in an offensive powerhouse of a game. Alex, watching this game, all I could think was, how do the Bengals go about beating the Ravens? The first time they played, obviously the Ravens won as well. They blitzed more, played less zone, more man coverage, trying to take Jamar Chase and some of those weapons out of the game. Try to take some of the Ravens' weapons out of the game. That didn't work. This time around, they go less blitz heavy, play a little more zone. That doesn't work either. Both styles of defense, they try to throw at Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. They were eaten up. The Bengals aired the ball out. Jamar Chase had a historically good game, over 200 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, probably the fantasy football game of the year. Still isn't enough. Mistakes like fumbles, struggling at the goal line, really kind of threw them off the rails here in this game. What did you see? What are your thoughts?
Well, as much as this was an offensive, shootout, a powerhouse game, I really would have liked to see Cincy kind of rely on the short pass a little more. I didn't see them trying to just get the ball out quick because Joe Burrow had absolutely no time to throw the ball. He was on the ground all game. He seemed to just be running for his life. And I mean, you look at the first half, it was only 14-7. And then you had that explosion, 35-34 to end the game. But I really would have liked to see some more short passes on the offensive side. On the defensive side, sometimes you just run into a really, really fucking good team. Now, Cincy's defense is not that good anyways. They've struggled a lot. So I think 35 isn't exactly a shock, but sometimes you do just have to throw your hands up and say, man, fuck, like they're just too damn good. That's it. They're just too good.
Is the problem that the Bengals defense just doesn't do anything well? Like I said, they have tried throwing different looks at the Ravens. They've tried throwing different looks at a lot of teams, and maybe they just don't have the manpower. They put a lot of their free agent money in recent years into trying to build up that line. They signed Orlando Brown away from the Chiefs. That hasn't really improved Joe Burrow's pass protection much at all.
Mm-hmm.
What can they do going forward? Do they start trying to load up on offensive line help to protect Burrow? Obviously, you don't want an Andrew Luck situation because the sack numbers are comparable there. Or do you try to take some pressure off the offense by building up the defense through the draft or free agency? I believe they've got to make a T. Higgins decision after this offseason, and they have to make a Trey Hendrickson decision going forward, where they're going to spread the money after giving Burrow all that money. We assume that Jamar Chase is going to be their long-term, and that's going to tie up quite a bit of capital.
Yeah, well, their owner is cheap as hell, too. He is a cheap ass. He still has them cross the street to go to their practice field from the facility. So, like literally an active street, not like they shut the street down. Like they got to get cops out there and shut the street down so the Bengals can go and practice. They should give Chase money. I don't understand after last night you lose, but that he was your offense. He was literally your offense. He lit the game up when it felt like they were dead after the fumble, and then they punt, then they give it away on downs, and then one play on that next drive. It was Joe to Jamar for 70 yards. So I don't know how you don't pay this guy at this point. But going forward, I really wish they would have added something on defense at the deadline. They didn't add anything. They did add a running back. They added Khalil Herbert, which again, that's going to be a good piece to help with the absence of Zach Moss. But I really wish they would have added someone in the secondary. I mean, I don't know how much they'd be willing to pay, but you could have had Marshawn Lattimore. You could add somebody on the front. I mean, just anything. I'm not even. That's just a suggestion, but anything on the defense to maybe help it out a little bit. Because I mean, listen, if you score 34 points in the NFL, you should be winning. That's a
And at least
guarantee.
appease the fan base. At least make
Yeah,
the
and
fans feel like you're trying.
yeah, and you only had the one turnover, right? One turnover? Yeah. Which did change the game. That changed the game, but you did only have one turnover and you still lost. So there's a clear issue here, and it's not on the offensive side of the ball.
Our next segment, as always, is picking our Week 10 games. Josh picked last week. He is out this week, so Alex is going to read the games. I will do the picks. Alex, whenever you're ready.
All right, Giants, Panthers in Germany.
We've relegated the worst game of the week to the Germans. They're still paying for World War II in some aspect. If this is the best game we can give them, I've got Carolina taking this game. I guess they're the technical home team. I don't even know how to pick this game. I don't know what the factors could be. I'll take Carolina.
David Tepper was in Germany this week, tapping the ceremonial keg. I'm shocked he didn't throw a drink at a fan, because that's not the first time he would have done that. Patriots Bears in Chicago.
Easy Bears. My boy Caleb Williams. I like what I'm seeing from Drake May. I just don't think the pieces around him are good enough to get the job done. I like Chicago.
Chicago is 6-point favorites in this game. Maybe the points. Maybe New England with the points. I don't know. Bills Colts. Buffalo is only a 4-point favorite. Before you pick, I have a little bit of a trivia question for you. Who was the last Buffalo Bills quarterback to defeat the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis? Because this game is in Indianapolis. The answer would shock you.
Is it Jim Kelly?
Nope.
No? More recent. Nope. Is it more recent?
Slightly more recent. Very slightly more recent.
Oh, gee. So it's not Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Nope.
I have no idea.
Doug Flutie.
Doug
Flutie.
He's in a jam band down in the Tampa St. Pete area. I've met him before. Yeah. Cool guy.
Hilarious that he's the last quarterback to beat Indianapolis in Indianapolis for Buffalo.
Way back. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I've got Buffalo. It's going to be Josh Allen in about 24 hours. So,
as much as I don't want to push our time too far, but as much as I hate picking the Colts, this almost feels like I should, because Buffalo basically just wrapped up the AFC East. They have like a 4-game lead, and they have Kansas City next week. So this is a perfect look-ahead spot, and it's Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is Joe Flacco. I don't care. One game against the best defense in football is not going to change my opinion on Joe Flacco. Broncos, Chiefs.
Chiefs by 90.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that. Falcons, Saints.
Falcons, easy. Saints have some
Falcons
pieces
by
returning.
90?
Oh, I don't know. Falcons by 20. Olave still out with a concussion. Saints just too banged up. I got Atlanta. Pretty easy.
They could have the new coach bump. I would just be a little wary of that new coach bump. 49ers, Bucks.
Bucks are at home. San Francisco is still, I feel like, an overrated team this year. People still see them as a Super Bowl contender. They're not. I'm taking Tampa Bay at home.
Steelers, Commanders.
It's a tough one. I'm going to pick the Steelers here. Russell Wilson looks good. Washington did improve with the trade deadline, but Marshawn Lattimore will not be playing this week. So I'll take Pittsburgh.
Vikings, Jags.
Probably a pretty easy pick. Minnesota hasn't looked as good in recent weeks.
This also is the Mac Jones game for the Jags.
No, I'll take Minnesota.
Titans, Chargers in LA.
My Chargers bias, I would like to pick Tennessee, but the Chargers at home, I'll take the Chargers. Tennessee, I had high hopes for them. They look awful. I'll take Chargers.
Eagles, Cowboys. Cooper Rush.
Yeah, we're going to talk Cowboys a little later. I don't see them, even with Cooper Rush, maybe the backup quarterback bump. I don't see that coming into play. I got the Eagles.
Jets, Cardinals.
Cardinals. Easy. I'm not buying into the Jets.
First place Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, and the Jets, they're flying high after breaking a 5-game losing streak. I don't see that continue. I'm taking Cardinals.
Lions, Texans.
I feel like I've picked almost every favorite so far. I want to pick Houston with Nico Collins coming back. The lack of Stephon Diggs is concerning. Detroit is just too good. Even on the road, I'm taking Detroit.
And Dolphins-Rams Monday Night Football.
Prime time, Tyreek Hill in prime time has been great. I'll take Miami to upset the Rams. There's my upset pick.
News, he is pushing to return. He is doing everything he can, as he said, to return. So,
our third topic of the day is going to be the big news from this week. The trade deadline passed on Tuesday, so this is the first time we're getting together to talk about it. Some big trades, in my opinion, maybe a little bit of a disappointment that there weren't any huge blockbuster moves on the deadline day. Some of the biggest trades happened before the deadline. Alex, you said you wanted to read some of these off, and I'll give my input if you want to go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I don't know where we want to start. Did you guys talk about D-Hop last week?
We talked a little about D-Hop. I
Okay.
kind of want to get into some of the defensive moves. What do you got? What are your favorite moves of the deadline?
I mean, Marshawn Lattimore is the number one for Washington. You lock him up. You have him for 2 years after this, too. So you have a little bit of security. They sent over a third, fourth, and sixth rounder. I really would have liked them to use those picks on defense. They did get a fifth rounder in return.
Back, yeah.
So, you basically you lose two picks in this draft. It's not really awful. You imagine you use those picks on a guy that you would hope would become Marshawn Lattimore.
Unlikely, though. He was a first-round pick.
Unlikely. Huh?
He was a first-round pick, full-time Pro Bowl. And that Commanders team, all they have been lacking is a few pieces on defense. And he's not going to fix all
their
the
defense
problems.
has been a lot better than expected as well. So you're getting stronger. This is just getting that defense that has already been starting to play better, stronger down the stretch. I mean, you have a 3-year window here. This is the perfect opportunity. I really like the move. More as I thought about it more, I was like, okay, I really like this.
Now, the hamstring issue is concerning, especially for a position that relies on your ability to make quick cuts, have the agility. I think sitting him out a week, if they're confident that he's ready to go, I trust them ready to go after this week. I believe them. They probably did their due diligence. Washington, while they may not be a Super Bowl contender now, they're building in the right direction. I think that the trade shows sort of what their plan is.
I would say they could be priming for a deep playoff run. This feels like one of those acquisitions that maybe he could get hurt again in the regular season, and then he comes back for the playoffs and makes a really big impact. And we say, oh, that was 100% worth it. Whatever the Saints got out of that is not worth it, which it does help their cap situation. They were going into next year $82 million in the hole in cap again for like the 10th straight year or something like that. And we had this discussion on Chaotically Intolerant. I think the Saints are the worst situation in the NFL. Cap, coach, team. If you combine it all together, I think it's a lot worse than any other team out there.
What about Zadarius Smith? That's a big move for the Lions, who are not just a Super Bowl contender. In my opinion, they're the Super Bowl contender. When Aiden Hutchinson went down for the year, you say that's a massive loss, because at the time when he went down, he was the best defensive player in football. Obviously, he T.J. Watt, Chris Jones, all in that conversation. But he was on pace to have like a mind-blowingly good year. Zadarius Smith doesn't replace that, but do you think that keeps them in the conversation? I think
it's a very low risk, high reward trade. You give up a fifth and a sixth rounder. I'm perfectly fine with that. If you're going into, you would expect this. You're in your Super Bowl window. This year is your window. This is it. So you're going all in. And they didn't get Myles Garrett, right? They didn't get Myles Garrett. You probably want Myles Garrett, but you didn't get him. But Zadarius Smith, I think can make an impact that would be equal to what Myles Garrett could do.
He's a 5 to 6 sacks down the rest the stretch kind of guy.
And you got to think, if you're putting him on in Detroit, I mean, the other guys in Detroit are not scrubs. So I think a rising tide lifts all boats, and usually we'll see guys who maybe come from worse teams, worse situations, who are really talented, and they figure it out in these really good situations. So he could be even better than that. And what's the loss? You got a 7th round pick back. I mean, you gave up a 5th and a 6th rounder in 25 and 26. You gave up 2 picks. I would say every fan would say, I'm cool with that. Let's go.
Last topic today is going to be where are the Cowboys going from here? They're very clearly in a position to miss the playoffs. They've been playing poorly. Dak Prescott, poorly is a good word to use, I guess, for that. Dak Prescott going on IR. The injuries are piling up. The offense looks inept. They've thrown around a lot of money at Dak Prescott, at CeeDee Lamb. What's the next step? If you were the Cowboys, are you in a position to tank and trade away maybe the 4th or 5th overall pick? Or if you're Jerry Jones, do you just keep doing what he does and kind of kick the can down the road and keep building for the future? What's the next step for America's team?
Well, they're not America's team. Army, the undefeated Army at West Point, is America's team. First off, I want to congratulate them. I think they're still undefeated. I don't know what their score is right now. But Jerry Jones they're just like the Yankees. They are just like the Dodgers. They are just like, all of these legacy teams in America that are too proud to lose. They cannot just say, tear it down, rebuild it. Okay, they are too proud to go in and lose 15 games. Guess what, Jerry? Get ready for that. All right, you have to. At some point, we have to do this. I mean, this is where we're going on year 20 something of Jerry Jones guaranteeing Super Bowls and it not happening. Jerry is he's got to give it up. He's 80? I mean, why do you have an 80-year-old running your team? And maybe he's not 80. Maybe he's 70. Why do you have a 70-year-old running your team? At some point, he has to see that his way of doing things is not working, and it hasn't worked. Because I guarantee you, if I went to Jerry Jones in 95 and said, "Hey, dude, this is the last Super Bowl you're going to win for, let's say at least the next 30 years." I think he would throw up on the spot. He would vomit all of that mash or whatever he's got in his stomach up. He's not a GM. I would say he's equivalent to if we stepped in as a GM and took over the Dallas Cowboys and just had unlimited money to do whatever the hell we wanted. I mean, like, look at this. What is there on this team? There's Dak Prescott, who, say what you want about the guy, he had MVP numbers last year. Like, what other quarterback are you going to go get right now that's better than Dak Prescott?
Oh, I see Shadur Sanders talk all over the internet. Trade up, get Shadur Sanders. Insane.
I mean, they can, that I wouldn't do that. That means you're going to have to wait you're going to have to commit to developing a quarterback then. You're going to have to commit to developing a quarterback, and sometimes that includes losing, 10, 11, 12 games in a year because they're just going to suck. I mean, Shadur is he's a great prospect, great quarterback. But that's what happens when you develop. And I just don't think he's comfortable doing that, because when have the Cowboys ever been truly, truly awful? Actually, want to look at their draft pick history.
They're always okay. They're always like a first round elimination from the playoffs kind of team. What I see Jerry Jones doing is what he always does. You fire the head coach, fire the GM, and put 2 new yes men in place that are just going to do whatever you want them to do anyway. And he can continue sort of putting the blame on the revolving door of staff that they have in Dallas. I don't think paying Dak was a bad move. I think they paid him too much. But securing Dak long-term is the right thing to do. but that elite offensive line they had 5-6 years ago is aging. They're not who they were. Zach Martin is going to retire. They do need to go into a rebuild, but like you said, are they too proud to tell everyone they're going into rebuild? I think what they're going to do is disguise it. They'll spend money here and there. They'll bring in a free agent or two every year and claim that they're in competing mode like indefinitely.
But like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with just being honest with the fan base that spends thousands of dollars to go see Jerry's World and stand for 6 hours? They fucking run in there looking like fools. Like, what's wrong with that? Just saying, hey guys, listen, we're gonna suck. We're going to suck. But you know what? It's gonna be for the better because we're gonna bring the star back to the top. You know, like what is the problem with that? I don't understand it. Even if it's an ego thing, is your ego not shot more when you lose in the first round? When those memes are right every year? What? So you're perfectly fine with losing in the playoffs, never actually like touching success, but you'll be, as long as we get to the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's more fine than we're going to lose for a couple years and we'll build back up.
Their mentality is if you get to the playoffs, you have a chance to win the Super Bowl, which in theory is true. The Ravens did it with Flacco. The Rams did it a few years ago. You make the Super Bowl, you get hot. The Giants did it 2 times. I think that's what they want to see, but it's not going to happen. There needs to be a fix.
It's not that it's not going to happen because I think that's a little bit of a blanket way to say it, but the way they've been trying to do it, it has not happened in 30 years. The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And what result has been different? No Super Bowls. And for the Cowboys, Super Bowls that's the bar, is going to the Super Bowl. It's not even going to the NFC title game. It's not going to the divisional round. It's not making the playoffs as a wild card spot. It's going to the Super Bowl. If you lose the Super Bowl, it's okay, we were there. We lost, like it's one game. So sometimes chance just doesn't go your way. But you haven't even gotten to an NFC title game in however long. Come on, man. Come on.
The real fix here is, I think we'll agree that this is where we can end this. Jerry Jones needs to go.
Yep.
He needs to step down. He needs to either sell the team or put somebody in place to run the team in his place. If he wants to continue as owner, he needs to step down from his GM.
He needs someone that will bully Jerry Jones. He needs someone that will say, sit the fuck down, stop talking, let me do my job. Because even if you bring someone in there, you think he's not going to meddle? You think it's literally like a job firing you, but saying, hey, can you come in anyways and like help out with this other stuff? And then they have a new guy in there, and you're like, oh, well, I used to do it like that. Oh, I used to do it like that. Oh, why don't you do it like that? It's like, well, because it didn't work, Jerry. It didn't work for 30 years. And look at where we are now. Like, he has to either stay out of it, or you need a guy who is just going to come in there. Maybe he's not even a good GM, but just someone that will train him and bully him and be like, shut the fuck up, Jerry. You didn't do anything. You haven't had success since the 90s. Okay. Yeah. The iPhone has literally never sent a message about the Dallas Cowboys going to the Super Bowl, not even winning the Super Bowl. So yeah, you need a bully, or you need him to just completely be a silent owner. And I don't think a silent owner is going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, that should wrap it for us this week, guys. Alex, thank you for coming on. We had a good time. Go Chiefs. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Check out chaoticallyintolerant.com, their blogs, their articles, and their podcasts. We'll see you next time.
Oh, yeah. R.I.P. Ben. R.I.P. Ben Herbstreet.
Who's Ben Herbstreet?
Kirk Herbstreet's dog. Ben, cute little golden retriever. He had cancer. He was about 10 years old. Cancer spread to his organs. Really, really sad. I would look up the tribute they did to him today on College Game Day. Just That's tears. Terrible. Raising Cane's released a commercial about Ben Herbstreet, just saying we love you. I mean, just the cutest little golden retriever. Everyone loved him. He was literally America's best friend. So RIP to Ben. Really sad.
I don't watch enough college football. I'm sorry for missing that. We're watching my dad's golden retriever. I'll tell him about it. Maybe maybe he knows.
He might know him. He might be like, oh, that guy was like my brother's best friend or something.
Oh no.
maybe they're from like neighboring litters or something. But RIP to Ben. And Kirk Herbstreet calling Thursday Night Football the day his dog died as well. I commend that. That's tough. That's great. I love that.
All right, we'll see ya.
See you guys.